So we're gonna make some portobello mushrooms. About 20 years ago, they had their moment. Every restaurant in New York City, Los Angeles, all over the place, were doing like portobello mushroom dishes, portobello mushroom salads, etc. And then they kind of like lost favor. They went out of fashion. I didn't really even know there was a mushroom fashion, but apparently there was, because portobellos lost their way. I think they're back. I think they're having a moment again. And the bottom line is, I really like the texture of them. They're so incredibly meaty. And when I want something like hearty, if I'm making like a mushroom bolognese or something like that, I use portobello mushrooms exclusively. A nice thing to do with these is to roast them whole. Now, when I say whole, I mean the caps themselves. You want to take the stems out. They're not edible. I mean, they're so woody. They're not pleasant to eat. So don't even attempt it. Just take the stems out. And what I do is I'm going to take a little olive oil and just brush a sheet pan with some olive oil. And then I'm going to brush the bottom of the portobello mushrooms. You can see these like little ribs here. We're just gonna brush a bunch of olive oil right into them, and it's gonna seep into the basically into the body of the mushroom itself. And then, of course, if you've ever watched me cook ever, you know that I'm gonna season it with salt and pepper. And we're gonna roast them this way. And you can see I already have olive oil in the pan here. So I'm just gonna put a little salt and pepper on the bottom of the pan so that I can just place the portobello mushrooms on the top side down just like this, and they'll pick up some of that seasoning as well. And I have my oven preheated at about 400 degrees. I'm gonna put these into the oven, just let them roast. And this is something you can do way ahead of time if you want. Now, you can serve these warm or you can serve them room temperature. You can serve it as a salad. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a gremolata sauce, which is sounds like a fancy sauce. There's only a handful of ingredients. It's an Italian style sauce made usually with like some fresh herbs, some garlic, and some lemon. That's basically it, a little bit of olive oil. But I'm gonna make a hazelnut gremolata. So I'm gonna use hazelnuts, of course, for that. Nocciola, which is what they're called in Italiano. And one thing I will tell you about a hazelnut, just a heads up, even if you buy the best quality hazelnuts you can find, either in a gourmet store or of course at Misfits Market, you want to taste one right away. Why? Hazelnuts have a lot of oil inside of them, and if they're not stored well, they can go off a little bit. And one thing I do not like is a nut that has kind of an off flavor to it. It's not what you want to be cooking with. These are delicious. All right, so we're gonna make the gremolata. We have some toasted hazelnuts, and I'm gonna put them right into this little mini food processor. I love my little mini chop here. I use this thing all the time because sometimes I'm not making enough to use a big food processor, and it kind of just pushes it around. It doesn't really actually work that well. We're gonna put some hazelnuts in there, some parsley, and some fresh basil. And whenever you make a sauce like this, where you're gonna grind the herbs, you need a lot more herbs than you think, because they just they just dissipate. Basil and some parsley, then some fresh garlic, and then a bunch of lemon zest. Such an easy sauce, but it's so good. This is classically, you would see this on osso buco, which is a braised veal shank. Classic dish in Italy, usually in Milan. They usually serve that with risotto, but the veal shanks come out and they're really tender, falling off the bone, and it's like a tomato, red wine, aromatic sauce. And then they take some gremolata, just put it right on top of the veal shank, right before it goes to the table. It's beautiful. It really kind of just brightens it up. Then we're gonna put a little salt and pepper in here. I'm gonna put olive oil, but before I do that, I'm gonna grind this up a little bit. It's almost like making a pesto.